update. My boyfriend called me selfish for wanting him to leave his boys' night early due to me grieving. Where do I go from here? Original post. I, 25 female, have been in a relationship with my boyfriend for 4 years, 27 male. Our relationship has been very good for the most part. Some fights here and there, but nothing worth noting until a week ago. I got a call from my brother telling me my mom had passed away last Friday. Growing up, I was never super close with her. We were usually fighting, but over the last 5 years, our relationship improved tremendously. We'd text throughout the week, and every Sunday, I would go on 4 to 5 hour drives with her on speaker to keep me company, talking about anything and everything under the sun. She became my best friend. For context, my boyfriend knows how close we had gotten and had even joined me for some of those drives. Now is the problem. My boyfriend has a fairly close group of friends that he keeps up with, usually gaming with them throughout the week. Then once a month, he and his friends will hang out and drink. He let me know a few days prior that he would be hanging out with them that Friday. When I got the news, I immediately called him, breaking down and telling him I didn't know what to do and that I knew I needed to be with him that night. He went from consoling me to saying, "I let you know a few days ago I have plans with my friends. I only get to see them once a month." I told him I understood, but I really needed him, and I was sure they would reschedule. To which he said they definitely wouldn't be able to, as they all have their own responsibilities. After some more time going back and forth, I gave in and said I would be okay with him going as long as he left early. Since he leaves at 7 p.m., I said I would like for him to come back by 11. He agreed. I spent the night going through texts with her, photos, everything I could. I tried to distract myself with other things, but nothing worked. Eventually, 10 p.m. rolled around, and I texted my boyfriend, "Will you be leaving in an hour?" To which he responded, "You told me 12, so I'll be leaving then." I told him I said 11, and I was standing by that. He didn't respond after and came home at 12. I asked him why he didn't reply and why he didn't just come back an hour earlier. He immediately got upset with me, telling me I was being selfish for ruining his night with his friends, that him spending an extra hour there means nothing since he still left early, and that I would be fine since I didn't spend my childhood with her anyways. I told him I didn't even want him to go out with them that day to begin with, since I had just gotten the news. But I agreed to it under that specific condition, and so had he. He could also just catch up with his friends when they game during the week. The fight ended with him telling me I was again being selfish, as he doesn't get to see them in person often, and that I shouldn't expect him to drop everything for me. We've been fairly cold to each other since, which has left me overthinking and reevaluating our relationship. On one hand, I am extremely heartbroken he wasn't there for me and know that's not something I want for my future. But on the other hand, his words have definitely gotten to me, and I feel bad for separating him from his friends. I also know it would break me more to lose someone else so close to me. Where do I go from here? Now for the top comments before reading the update. If my mother passed away and my partner didn't come home from being with his friends, that would be it for me. He's trying to tell you what he did wasn't bad because he told you it was happening. You weren't close with her in childhood and is genuinely trying to make it your problem. You're grieving, and your boyfriend of 4 years doesn't think it's a big deal? Create a plan and end this relationship. He is totally Darvoing her. OP Darvo is shorthand for classic abuser responses. It stands for deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. Your boyfriend did all of them. He denied that he agreed to come home at 11. He attacked you for asking him for emotional support, and then made himself the victim of your demands, instead of letting you be the child who just lost her mother and needs emotional support. OP, get out now. This is a man who will always choose his needs over yours. Only thing I'd change is that he wouldn't just choose his needs over hers, he'd choose his wants over her needs. Sounds like the boys are more important to him than his girlfriend and her intense grief. My wife would have filed for divorce the next day if I went out with friends after her mother passed last year. Agreed. I was with a really crappy guy, but when my grandma passed and I was grieving, it was the first time I couldn't make excuses for him being selfish. What kind of person abandons their grieving partner for something insignificant? and then further burdens them by picking fights because it isn't about them for once? No amount of low self-esteem on my end allowed the mental gymnastics required to make that sound okay. It's just unbelievably crappy. Like, actually difficult to believe that someone could drop the ball this hard for someone they even kind of care about. Imagine if OP got sick or was pregnant and needed help. I'd be terrified to put my hypothetical child's needs in the hands of someone who can't come home an hour early from boys' night because his long-term girlfriend's mother died that freaking day. I'd be tempted to call it rage bait if I hadn't lived it. There really are people like this. Not just me, by the way. My friends have also had experiences dating people who are bewilderingly out of touch. Like, my best friend's ex tried to dirty talk to her and initiate sex to comfort her when she was going through something difficult and asking for support. Then, if she didn't engage, he'd get pissy and say, "Well, that's what makes me happy, so I was helping you," and then abandon her and try to guilt her. I think a lot of people are really selfish and emotionally unintelligent. Now for the update. I want to start off by saying thank you so much to everyone who commented. I spent a good while reading every single comment, so for everyone who gave me advice and shared their stories, please know I am extremely grateful for you. I also really appreciate everyone who gave me their condolences. Now for the update. A little while after posting, one of my boyfriend's friends reached out to me. He asked me if I had posted it, because if I did, he had something to tell me. I said yes, and he told me that before my boyfriend left their boys' night, he had started complaining about me to everyone there, telling them I was being a psycho and forcing him to leave. He completely lied about my relationship with my mom and told them I wasn't close with her at all, rarely talked to her, and that anytime I mentioned her, I did nothing but crap-talked her. He said I was using her death as a way to control him. I also learned that throughout our entire relationship, he'd tell his friends about every fight of ours and, again, would completely lie about everything that happened in them. For context, I am not close with any of his friends, and he had apparently told them I was faking my personality whenever I interacted with them, and crap-talked them when they weren't around as well. Ironic. So I don't necessarily blame them for believing it. The only reason his friend reached out was because my boyfriend had done the same thing in past relationships, and he was starting to get suspicious and tired of it. I confronted my boyfriend about it afterwards, and he denied everything for a while before ultimately admitting to it all. He started crying, saying he doesn't know why he's like this, but that he loves me and can't live without me. Anything and everything you can think of. I packed whatever I could and told him I needed time to think. I'd be staying with my brother in the meantime, as I had to drive out to go to my mom's funeral and go through her things. For the few who asked if I had another support system, my family lives a few states away, as my boyfriend and I started out long distance, and I moved away from them a couple of years ago for him. The few new friends I made are away traveling for the summer, which I couldn't join for numerous reasons. I also couldn't get out of bed for the majority of the week, so I didn't leave sooner. What he didn't know at the time was that I didn't need time to think. I had already decided I would not be coming back. As I said in my original post, there was nothing awful worth noting about him during our relationship. He didn't treat me exceptionally well, but not terribly either. So, prior to his friend reaching out, I genuinely didn't know what to think of the situation. To me, it was out of character for him. My main thought was that the news of her passing might have hurt him a lot as well, and he didn't know how to handle it. But I now know that he was an entirely different person with his friends, and what was out of character for me was completely in character for them. It definitely scares me to think of what would have happened if I hadn't posted and never learned the things he was saying when I wasn't around. I also have no clue what I'd do if another life-changing event happened and he put something else above being there for me. So, to everyone who wanted an update, just know I have completely removed him from my life. No amount of tears and fake apologies will convince me otherwise. He wasn't there when I needed him, and that's enough. But the lying and fake stories he'd share on top of that is terrifying. I know my mom would rip me a new one if she heard all of this and I did anything other than leave him. I will always be grateful for this little corner of the internet and the awful future it saved me from. Your mom would be so proud of you, OP. I wish you peace in your grief. There are a whole bunch of people rooting for you. He made OP move to isolate her. So glad she made the right decision. Lying to his friends about his girlfriend to make her seem annoying and crazy is also a way of isolating, since if she needed help, none of his friends would believe her. What he said about her is a red flag times 1,000. Good for you. So many people post here about awful partners and toxic relationships and then cannot find the courage to get out. You'll meet someone who deserves you. Next story. Fiancé is allergic to cats, but proposed to me knowing I have 4 cats, and is now saying he had hoped I'd rehome them. What do we do now that we are facing living together? So, as the title states, I, 33 female, am looking for some help here. My fiancé, 34 male, proposed in April of this year after about 1 year together. During this time, we have lived in separate homes. I have lived in a rental for the past 8 years, and he recently bought a fixer-upper home. I have had 4 cats for the past 13 years. I didn't necessarily willingly choose to have 4 cats, but long story short, I ended up with a mom and her 3 kittens, and have raised them for the last 13 years. Anyone that knows me knows my cats have become my trusted companions. Over the past year and a half together, my fiancé would stay at my house. He has never had a bad reaction, with the exception of one time when we were sitting on the floor doing a craft and he got watery and itchy eyes. So anyway, on to now. We had decided after the engagement to fix up his home and live there since he owns the home. I have been helping remodel the house. I was very anxious about leaving my safe space at first, but my fiancé kept telling me to think of the positive things, such as my cats getting to lay in the bay window, etc. Now, during renovations, he had an electrician come, and the electrician left drywall dust in his wake that my fiancé had a bad reaction to. My fiancé then started saying that he was unsure he could live with cats, and this whole situation has now completely spiraled. I said I was comfortable making accommodations such as a cat-free bedroom, air purifiers, and frequent vacuuming. It will be hardwood floors, and he has a Roomba. But he is still nervous and unsure. He told me he spoke to someone before proposing, and this someone told him that I should choose him over the cats, and that it hurts that I am not. I am just sort of baffled at all of this. He knew I had the cats. He proposed, suggested moving in, etc. I can't help but feel like the rug is being pulled out from under me. I don't know what to do at this point. I am certainly willing to take his health into consideration. Does this mean living separately? That would be unfortunate, but perhaps doable. Getting a separate living space, such as a cat house for the back of his house for them? I don't know, but I'm just looking to see what other people think. Am I being inconsiderate for not agreeing to rehome them? Please do not give up your cats. This man knows you have cats, proposed to you, and then told you that you need to choose him over the cats. That's so insanely manipulative. Your poor cats will be so upset and confused if you give them away. This doesn't even sound like he's allergic to cats, more like he just doesn't like them. Has he done anything to mitigate his allergies? Taken allergy medicine, etc.? They honestly sound so mild. Has he ever seemed interested in the cats at all? Even if he's allergic, I would expect him to still be emotionally invested in them, like buying treats, toys, knowing their names, their cute antics. So we had no issues with your cats until he got an allergic reaction to drywall dust. That makes no sense at all. You're not being inconsiderate for not agreeing to rehome them. The fact that he isn't trying to compromise at all and you're bending over backwards to compromise, does this happen a lot in your relationship? Also, why is he taking the opinion of someone else that you should be picking him over your cats as fact? That person isn't part of your relationship. Lastly, you are putting a lot of time and energy, hopefully not money, into fixing up a property that you don't own. Be careful with this, especially if you are putting money into it. If you get married, get your name on the deed. I can't express how important that last paragraph is. I got married and helped my ex-husband knock down and rebuild his house into his dream home. I paid more than half of the home equity line of credit and bought him a car. He never put my name on the deed, and when I left, his crappy $150,000 home was worth over $600,000. I left with $50,000 in my pocket, and that was only because he started a business while we were married and I was entitled to half. So that was a payoff. P.S. Tell him to buy some Benadryl. Last story. My girlfriend said I was cruel for getting angry when she said she wouldn't go to my mother's funeral with me. Last year, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. It had spread quite far, and unfortunately, treatment was unsuccessful. She passed away 2.5 weeks ago, and her funeral was at the beginning of this week. I, 29 male, spoke to my girlfriend, 27 female, about the funeral and mentioned her going with me. She said she couldn't make it as she had a presentation at work and some work to hand over. I asked if she was seriously putting a work presentation over supporting me. She said she couldn't do anything, but I pointed out she could explain to her manager why she needed the day off. She could put annual leave in or use paid sick leave. She said I was being unfair and that I'd still have my family there, so it shouldn't be a big deal. I told her partners are supposed to support each other when the other partner needs support. She said I was guilt-tripping her and that she wouldn't be going. The day of the funeral came and she didn't go. Throughout the day, I realized I don't want to be with someone who won't do the bare minimum. When I got home, she asked how things went, and I told my girlfriend we were over. She said I was taking my grief out on her and that she hadn't done anything wrong. How would you handle this? There's no way I'd leave my significant other to go to a funeral of their parent without me and vice versa. We would absolutely be there to support each other, regardless of work. Last month, my partner and I flew across the country to attend his uncle's funeral. We were in his hometown for 30 hours and then flew back to get to work on Monday. It was important to my partner to have me there, so I was there. If there isn't a major financial or health reason why someone can't do the same for their partner, then that's just the way it should be. I could possibly see her work event as being important enough to her future career success to bow out of the funeral maybe, but her attitude around him wanting her to be there is the real problem in my opinion. If I couldn't go, you can bet I'd be supporting him in every other possible way, but she just sounds like she doesn't get it or doesn't care. Either is a good reason to end the relationship. This is a completely reasonable justification for leaving someone. One of the worst possible major life events has just happened to you, and she couldn't be bothered to miss one day of work to be there for you. If she doesn't care at the most crucial times, she won't care any other time. You deserve better, and I'm sorry for your loss.
Am I the a-hole for not giving my half-siblings any of the inheritance I got from my dad, but paying for my stepsister's surgery and house deposit? I, 32 female, have 2 half-siblings, 15 male and 16 male, and a stepsister, 28 female. My parents divorced when I was 8 as mom was caught cheating with my now stepdad. Dad got majority custody of me because mom didn't actually want any custody and want to go travel with now stepdad. Stepdad walked out on my stepsister, at the time 4-year-old, and her mom who was in the middle of treatment for cervical cancer. About 2 years after the whole time went down, my stepsister's mom died and my stepdad was given custody of her. He had none previously. As they then had to settle down, my mom fought for custody of me as she didn't want to have to pay child support if she was stuck, unable to travel because of stepdad getting stepsister. They got 50-50 custody of me. I wound up very close to my stepsister and ended up living together for a brief while after she was kicked out at 16, I left home at 17. I've never been close to my younger half-brothers, largely because mom and stepdad spoiled them constantly and made no secret of the fact that I and stepsister were intruding on their perfect family. Long story short, we've been low contact with them pretty much for the last 12 years. Stepsister reached out to them last year when she was diagnosed with cervical cancer and asked for their help to fund a hysterectomy. They told her that she deserved her diagnosis for forcing them to stop traveling, and stepdad told her that she was going to die alone and miserable like her mom. She's been no contact with them ever since. My dad died about 6 months ago and left everything to me plus a car to my stepsister. I've always been very close to him, and my stepsister also grew close to him after mom/stepdad kicked her out. It's not a ton, but I was able to give her money for a house deposit and pay off her surgery, as well as pay off my student loans, and enough to make a nice emergency fund. My stepdad recently found out about this. We don't know how. Neither of us told him. And we've received several threatening emails and letters saying we should have shared with our half-brothers, and threatening to sue us since dad left something to stepsister despite them not being related. Then clearly, he would have wanted our half-brothers to have something as well. I basically told them to get stuffed and stop harassing us, but I've just found out that my half-brothers have no money saved for their study, and I'm wondering if I'm the a-hole for helping out stepsister but not them. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Nope, nope, and nope. Firstly, sorry for your loss. Secondly, the money was willed to you legally by your biological father. It is yours to do with as you see fit. Helping your stepsister is wonderful as you are close to her. Paying off loans is very sensible, and an emergency fund is vital. I would advise you also start paying into some retirement funds. Good luck. Totally agree. The only one who looked like they deserved the money was the stepsister. The others don't deserve a single cent from that inheritance, and they can't do anything about it, which is great for Opie. Not the a-hole. If your dad wanted to leave your stepbrother something, he would have. Your stepdad is like a shark circling the waters for leftovers. Lawyer up, Opie, even if just in the sense you know legally can't do anything. Not the a-hole. If your half-brothers don't have any money for their studies, it's not your fault. It was very nice of you to pay for your stepsister, and your stepdad is being the a-hole for threatening you for money is not rightfully owed. This, feeling guilty that they have no money when it's not Opie's fault, but they have siblings' parents who messed up. Not the a-hole. The estate was your father's to leave to whom he wanted to. No person is entitled to anyone's estate, and I'm saying this as someone who was written out of his father's will. Also, this money is yours to do with as you want. You used it to help someone you love during a time of crisis and to help her out. You are not required to use this money to help anyone out, but are welcome to help anyone your heart tells you to. Do not feel obligated to assist your half-siblings just because your mother and stepfather did not plan properly for them. That said, you might want to talk to a lawyer to head off any legal stunts they might try. One thing to keep in mind, family is about who loves you and stands by you, not about who is related to you. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not sharing my inheritance with my siblings since they were legally adopted? I'm 23 male, I'm in a tricky situation where I'm leaning a bit more in one way than the other, and either need that extra pushover or push back to the other side. Unfortunately, my two siblings, 21 female and 19 male, and I are the products of an ongoing affair between my mom, 44 female, and her current husband, 43 male. Technically, he is my bio dad. We did a DNA test, but legally, I am a father's kid, and for the purposes of this story, I will be referring to my legal father as dad, while my bio dad will be referred to as stepdad. My dad died when I was 12, and I was devastated. I love that man so much that I cite his death as the catalyst for my current lack of faith. When I was 13, my mom married my stepdad, and when I was 14, they both approached me and my siblings about legal adoption. My siblings were eager to a new father, while I was crushed at the idea of everyone seemingly so eager to replace the man I knew and loved. While my mom initially respected my wishes to not be legally his, they both kept trying to convince me, but I refused. For years, I respected this man as my mom's husband, the man who provided for me, but he would never be my dad. I could tell that my stepdad was really hurt by this, especially around Father's Day. I would go out and visit my dad's grave with my half-brother, dad's first child with another woman, instead of spending the day with him. I guess he got fed up one day, and that's why he decided to tell my siblings and I all the truth. Obviously, this was a huge blow, and I refused to believe it, hence the DNA test, and I was crushed. It felt like I was losing my dad all over again. My mom decided that it was for the best, and that I no longer had an excuse to not accept the adoption. She was wrong, and I moved out a week after my high school graduation and went low contact with them. The only ones who seemed to be on my side was my half-brother and legal paternal grandparents. They accepted that my siblings were lost to them, but in their eyes, I was still my dad's kid. My younger siblings gave me crap about it for years, and saying that it was weird to spend time with people I had no blood relation to, and that I was being cruel to our biological paternal side. Our relationship became low contact as well, and I didn't really hear from them again until after my great-aunt died. She didn't have any children and married very well, and since her brother, my grandfather, was the only one to have children, so left most of her money to his daughter, my legal aunt, and to me and my half-brother. Since legally, my younger siblings were adopted by our bio dad and they shared no blood relation to her, she didn't consider them family and left them with nothing. My younger siblings heard about money and think I should split with them equally. I feel like since they choose to be adopted and were so willing to rug sweep what our mom did, that they're not entitled to a dime. Am I wrong? Not Dayhole. Your siblings. It's weird to spend time with people you have no blood relation to. Also, your siblings. Give us money you got from people we have no blood relation to. At the risk of breaking AITA's civility rule, your siblings can go vigorously fornicate with themselves. Not the a-hole. That is an absolutely preposterous stance for your siblings to have. They think they should be entitled to inheritance from a side of your family that they not only denounced, but also ridiculed you for keeping in contact with? Yeah, no. This one isn't a hard ruling. Just probably difficult if you're the one living it. Not the a-hole, but your mom is definitely the a-hole for putting you in this crazy situation. Your aunt chose to give you an inheritance. You have nothing to apologize for or feel bad about. I'm so sorry for your loss. Not the a-hole. No one is entitled to receive any inheritance from anyone, especially if the deceased person made it clear what they wanted to give and to whom. Your siblings are acting like spoiled a-holes. Curious fact, the first part is wrong in a lot of countries. But yes, the siblings have no claim after what they said to Opie about his dad. Next story is titled, Would I be the a-hole if I told my dad it's his fault his wife wants a divorce? So my 20 female dad, 40 male, and his wife, Jane, 31 female, have been married for 6 years now. Their relationship started because my dad was cheating on his wife at the time. My dad is a notorious cheater and manipulator, and I have witnessed this firsthand, so I know there are bases to the stories I have heard. Anyway, at first I didn't like Jane because of everything that happened with how their relationship began, and then they got married without telling anyone, which only made it worse. Eventually, I forgave my dad and Jane, and I actually got really close to Jane because she is awesome. I thought my dad had changed because they seemed so perfect for each other. Apparently, that's not the case. Fast forward to now, Jane asked my dad for a divorce. Apparently, he has been up to his cheating habits for a long time and has also been incredibly manipulative to Jane, so I don't blame her. At first, my dad told me he wanted Jane and I to keep our relationship. It hadn't even crossed my mind that I would stop talking to her. But now my dad has really started showing his ass to everyone. For example, at my sister's birthday party, my dad swore the divorce wouldn't be talked about, but then that's all he talked about. The entire time. He made everything so awkward, making sly comments about him, referring to some new guy Jane was talking to, and tried to still act like a couple even though everyone was clearly uncomfortable, following Jane everywhere, going through her phone, etc. He has also snapped at me and made comments about my weight, and has also tried several times to corner me into conversations about it like I am his therapist. We have never really been close, so I'm never really sure what to say, and I don't mind talking to him about it. But he goes into way too much detail and tells me things that he should really only be talking to a licensed professional about. Jane has also told me that he's being emotionally and financially abusive. They still share the same house, unfortunately, until May 1, and has been using their daughter together as leverage. This is all really frustrating because the truth is, it is his fault that all this is happening because he has cheated multiple times. But I also feel bad because I know he is hurting. Would I be the a-hole if I told him that it is his fault this is happening? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, but it's unlikely to make any impact. He sounds like a narcissist, and he'll just use any negative thing you say as a reason to turn on you. Your best course of action is to remain a friend to Jane and aid her in any way that you can. His behavior towards her and you are reasons enough to cut him off. Largely agree, but I'm not so sure the best course of action is to remain friends with Jane. Seems like both of them are involving OP way too much in marital problems. OP should not be Jane's sounding board about how crappy her dad is, nor should she be Dad's pseudotherapist. The abuse allegations muddy things, but both these parents seem to be looking for way too much emotional support from the adult, but still young child. Not Dayhall. Your plan may backfire with him getting angry at you. Just be prepared for an extreme reaction. Chances are good he knows why she's divorcing him. He may or may not own up to it, but that's not your problem. Personally, I probably wouldn't waste my breath. It probably wouldn't change his behavior. Your dad is a giant ass. A lot of cheaters never stop. Jane was naive to believe she'd be the exception. If they'll cheat with you, they'll cheat on you. But you seem to like Jane, and she sounds way better than your dad is in this situation. If everything you said in the post is true, his actions are indeed the cause of what's happening to him. Not Dayhall. Edit. Thank you guys for all your input. I think it is best to wait until Jane and the baby are out at the very least before I confront his behavior. Both Jane and I are very concerned about what he might do if anything pushes the wrong button because he is very unstable right now. I'm not really concerned about my relationship with him. Like I said, we've never been close and I've lived with my mom my whole life. Our relationship has always been unstable. So if he feels the need to stop talking to me when I do tell him, then that's how it is. Thank you guys. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not taking the kids with me on the honeymoon when their mom insisted? To start, my ex-wife and I divorced 6 years ago. She moved on and got married so fast I couldn't believe it, since we were high school sweethearts. We were sharing custody of our 2 kids, 7 and 9 at the time. She got busy with her new husband, new house, and I did most of my children's care for 2.5 years. Then she got pregnant and counted on me to take care of the kids. I had no problem. In fact, this was a blessing. I got to spend more time with the kids. I got married to my now wife a month ago. My ex asked if I was going to take the kids with me on the honeymoon. I said no and asked if she could have them for a week. She refused. She said she had work, although she always caused a scene to have them for a week. Her husband said he isn't willing to watch them. Those are his stepchildren, but I see why the kids and him aren't close. My ex threw a fit when I said my in-laws were willing to have the kids. She called me crazy to abandon the kids with strangers they've only known for 3 years. She started demanding I take them with me. I argued with her, calling her unreasonable, but she called me a horrible, horrible father. She began bad-mouthing me to my kids, asking them if they're comfortable living with their dad's new wife. Even told them we were leaving for good. I was freaking livid. My wife and I assured them none of this is true, and explained how every newly married couple get this special time together. I didn't just leave. I gave them tasks to decide what they want their new rooms to look like after renovations. I went over to my ex's place and the argument started. She kept saying I shouldn't put my new wife before my children and abandon them like that. She took notes to talk to her lawyer about my behavior. She called my wife a witch, and that she didn't trust her with the kids. I blew up at her, telling her to have some respect. Her husband started mocking me, wishing me a terrible time, and for the plane to never land. Then told me to be careful not to come home with a baby already, since I had no problem ditching my kids so easily. I told them to bug off, then I left. My mother-in-law came and picked the kids. She was excited to do things with them. This is a chance for them to bond. When we came back, my ex and her sister never stopped berating me for not taking the kids, saying the kids are in for a miserable life with my new wife. I told them to stop it, but they keep guilting me, saying I acted like a neglectful father, putting my kids last on the list. Now for the top comments. Not Dayhall and you need a lawyer. Document how she lied to your kids about abandoning them. Document everything. Communicate only through text, so there is a record. She will roll right over you in court unless you can back this up. Your ex is rich to say you're abandoning your kids for a vacation when she abandoned them when she got a new husband, again when she had a new child, and refused to watch them when you were going on your honeymoon. Hopefully you have some evidence if she does try to get some more custody, but it doesn't sound like her husband would want that. Not Dayhole. The amount of projection from the ex and the stepdad are like a freaking auto cinema. Not a-hole. Your ex is bat-ass crazy. And you also need to take notes on how you ask her to watch the kids, but she refused, and how the husband said they aren't his kids. Not a-hole. I think you should record these interactions. Your ex is psycho. She sounds bizarrely jealous if you're marrying. As soon as she starts with her threats and her ranting and her insults, take out your phone and start filming. If she asks what you're doing, tell her you're just filming. Is there something she's saying she doesn't want people to know? If secret recording is legal in your state, do that. Some states require both parties to consent, other states do not. Be prepared to take her to court if this escalates, because she's trying to poison your kids against you and your new wife. And they're still young, and she is their mother. It's dangerous and very wrong.